So, namaste once again. In the previous monthly meeting, we had talked about an appraisal of the current state of society and then the solution, the all encompassing resolution in light of the right understanding. So, we had talked about the programs that we can take up, and now we'll talk about the plans. So, we'll revise certain portion of the content that we had discussed earlier and then go ahead. Next slide, dear. So we have been discussing harmony in the society for the past 1 year. We have been discussing various aspects of harmony in the society in our monthly meetings. So we started by discussing the human goal, which can be comprehensive, including all levels of living of a human being. And we could also see the program to go ahead in fulfilling these goals. So the first priority is right understanding every human being, which ensures the prosperity in the family, because we are able to identify the need for physical facilities correctly only with right understanding, and we are also able to relate to the nature rightly with right understanding so that we can fulfill our needs properly. Now with this to ensure, we are able to ensure fearlessness in the society with a feeling of trust, and when we are able to live together happily with mutual happiness, mutual prosperity, then we are also able to nurture the rest of nature, so we can ensure coexistence in the nature. Now with this clarity of goal, we can chalk out the programs. So we are able to see that there are 5 dimensions of society. The first one being education sanskar, the second one being health sayam, that is health and self-regulation, then production and work, justice and preservation, and exchange and storage. And we could also map our goals to these dimensions. We all are there in the education system, and we can now see clearly how education is the foundation of a harmonious society, how education lays down the foundation of harmony in and around. So it's a very good opportunity for us that we are there as a part of education system, and we are a building block of a harmonious society of universal order, isn't it? G. Next, Bhaiya. If we are not able to understand our goals correctly, programs correctly, then we get caught up in problems. Now, with lack of comprehensive understanding of the human goal, we nurture so many wrong preconditionings inside us, and that's how we are not at peace with ourselves. There is no harmony in the family. Even at society, at the level of society, we are into wars, domination, exploitation, and we are also depleting, polluting the nature. So the common assumptions could be like money is everything, nobody is trustworthy, isn't it? The only goal of life is to make money, and so many wrong conditionings may get into our assumptions, and then we try to accumulate by any means. We try to indulge so that we can get pleasure temporarily, and this leads to disharmony in the society also. And of course, when we try to fulfill needs without being clear about the limitedness of the needs, then we go on exploiting the nature, and the nature gets depleted. So we try to master over the nature, exploit the nature. Now, these are various issues that we can see, and I've been analyzing these problems. I'm not going to the details of the problems, but we get obsessed with consumption, with profit, with sensual pleasure, going by these wrong assumptions. And we can see that we are investing so many resources fighting terrorism, fighting wars, and their problems in the nature. So this is an appraisal of the current state. We want to come out of it. Now, how to come out of it? Yeah, next slide. So there could be 2 possible approaches, isn't it? So one possible approach is the problem-centric approach, about which we had discussed earlier also. And the second approach could be the solution-centric approach. Now, when we go for a problem-centric approach, we focus on the problems and then try to solve them. And the solution is not all-encompassing. It is a piecemeal solution, a temporary solution. And many a times, while solving one problem, we create some other problems. Maybe we are trying to fulfill our needs in the family, and we try to resolve the problem of deprivation in the family. But in that process, we may create harm in the society, fear in the society, isn't it? Or we try to resolve the fear in the society, and we may destroy the nature. Second problem is that we get depressed when we try to have a problem-centric approach, because all the time we are thinking about problems. And you can see that nowadays a common problem that is arising in the society is overthinking. People are getting into overthinking. Why? Because all the time we are thinking about problems. We do not have the all-encompassing resolution. We do not have the solution in a comprehensive sense. So we are trying to fight out problems. Okay, trying to give some piecemeal solution, and we are not clear about the feelings which can be mutually fulfilling, our role in the society and nature, and that's how we get embroiled by these problems. Now, the second approach, the solution-centric approach, the solution-centric approach is basically focusing on solutions. And when we try to work for solution-centric approach, we try to understand the human being, we try to understand the whole existence and the role of human being in this existence. So we have a program that gets defined by itself. It's not focused on some situation outside, some circumstance outside. It is holistic, it is universal, it is definite, and it is continuous. Now, in light of that, whenever we face some problems, we are able to resolve, we are able to solve the problems. Now, what do you think? Which approach is doable? Which approach is acceptable naturally to us? The problem-centric approach or solution-centric approach? You can respond in the chat box. And if there are some questions regarding these two approaches, then please let me know. We can discuss that. The whole session has to go in a kind of dialogue. I will be proposing certain things from my side, and you can always raise your hands and ask questions. Solution-centric approach. Yeah. So do you think that we can always have a solution-centric approach? Given any kind of problem, can we always have a solution-centric approach? Okay, Renuka ji is saying no. Supraja is saying yes. Sometimes yes, sometimes no. Saida ji is saying. Okay, Jagdish Babuji is saying yes. Sandeep ji is saying no. So what is your opinion? Seema ji is saying no. Okay, you can raise your hand. Yeah, I'll give examples. But I would like to listen to our participants. What do they think about this issue? Ji, Rashmi Tripathi ji.
Rashmi Didi, you have been provided with the mic. You can unmute yourself, Didi.
Namaste, Didi.
Namaste, Didi.
Didi,
you can proceed.
Yeah, what I believe is that every problem has a solution. Or the answer jo hoga wo yes, either it will be yes or it will be no. There are only two options. And so means solution is always there. We just have to think about it. But when we are thinking about the problem, that is the problem is very big, then we are not able to find the solution. So if we take a solution-centric approach, we will definitely find a solution. This is what I believe.
Nice, Didi. Any other opinion on this? Any other opinion on this? You can raise your hand. Some of our participants have said that no, we cannot always take a solution-centric approach. Okay, Saida ji.
So when you start optimistically saying that we'll have a solution and you reach halfway and you realize that facility is not there, then you need to take up some other route. I wouldn't say that it would be a problematic approach for it, but you need to divert from that route to get the solution. So you have to start with an optimistic solution, reach to the solution, try and reach to the goal. And if you're not able to, because if the facility is not there or some other means, you need to change the resources at that particular time and then realize and try and attain at least an approximate solution to it, so that you can at least fulfill the basic needs. I'm not saying at least you have to attain 100% of that. At least the basic needs of the people are fulfilled. At least the basic needs, if you are able to fulfill of the people, then I would be happy to say that I've reached my goal or my solution is attained. That is what I mean to say.
Okay. Okay. Uh, Dr. Mahendra. Dr. Mahendra.
Mahendra Bhaiya, you have been provided with the mic. You can unmute yourself, Bhaiya. Ji Bhaiya.
Hello, madam. Every problem will have a solution. If we follow solution-centric approach, definitely we can solve the problem. This is my opinion.
Okay, Bhaiya. Okay, nice. Let me give an example of the difference between two approaches. So maybe that I have some health issues. I may have diabetes, I may have BP, I may have cholesterol issues, and things like that. And when these issues crop up, then I go to solve them. So if I have diabetes, I try to find solution for diabetes. If my cholesterol level has gone up, I try to find solution for cholesterol, and so
Yes,
on.
yes,
So this
yes.
is a problem-centric approach.
Yeah.
Now, when I go with solution-centric approach, I am able to see that I am not the body. I am central to my being of the human being. And then I want to see the body as my instrument, and then I become responsible to my body. And I always interact with my body with a feeling of self-regulation. So I arrange for nurturing the body, protecting the body, rightly utilizing the body, and then I naturally ensure health. Now, if due to some factors, some issue crops up, then I solve the issue. But my program for self-regulation continues. Now, what is happening in the first case? I do not have the program for self-regulation. Some disease has uh, cropped up, and then I try to cure that disease. And that process might be the case that whenever some disease is there, I get nervous, I get perturbed, I get uncomfortable. And it could also be the case that when I'm perturbed, I spoil my behavior with the spouse, I spoil my behavior with my colleagues, friends. This could be the case. So, what is happening here? A problem has cropped up. I do not have the complete solution for that. I'm trying to do some piecemeal thing there. And then in that process, I'm creating disharmony also in and around. When I have the solution centric approach, I'm at peace with me. I'm happy within. And then with that happiness within, with that peace within, I'm able to find out the right way to solve the problem. Now, these are two different scenarios where we can exactly see how the solution centric approach works and how the problem centric approach works. G. I hope that example makes it clear. If you have any other question, then you please raise your hand and then we can talk about it. Last time
Bhaiya,
also we discussed it briefly. G.
Bhaiya Renuka Didi is with us. Ji Renuka
Yeah.
Didi. You can unmute yourself, Didi.
Yeah, good afternoon, sir. So, yes, if I take an example, like if I'm lost in a jungle,
No, voice is not clear.
is it clear now?
Renuka Didi, there
Is
is a
it clear
noise
now?
from your end.
Is it clear now, ma'am?
Yeah, your voice is audible, Didi, but we could hear some background noise also, Didi.
Now is it clear?
Now we can proceed, Didi. Fine, Didi.
Okay, yeah. The thing is, if I'm actually walking in a jungle, then I'm lost completely. And if I take this as an example, then what happens is it's a dark night and I have to reach the destination as quickly as possible. And I know that there are different routes because I'll be traveling the same road. So since I'm lost now, so there might be a short route which is full of, stones and all that, right? And there'll be a long route which is, if I consider that as a solution, where I can go peacefully, calm. But my destination is closer and I have to select the route. So how do I actually choose? Is it only the short route and I can make it up because I know there could be a lot of pebbles there and stones there, but I can still reach quickly. But you have a long route and there is a long destination to go. How do I take which route should I choose? Is a bit of confusion because a solution and a problematic situation can occur. It need not be always true. I know that there will be solution for any kind of problems. It is only our perspective and looking into the things. But sometimes I feel there could be another way also. That's what I feel.
Okay. So I'll say that you have given a hypothetical situation. Now, with all-encompassing resolution in me, and I have this understanding in me. First of all, I'll find out why I'm moving through the jungle at all, isn't it? So what could be the right program to fulfill the basic aspiration? And I can see that it is not like passing through a jungle. To fulfill my basic aspiration, I need to ensure harmony at all levels of living. With that clarity, I will chalk out my programs, and then I will move forward with a feeling of relationship. It's not only me who is aspiring to be happy. Everyone else is aspiring to be happy, and we are all related. So we'll move together with a feeling of relationship, and we'll start participating in harmony. So in that same hypothetical situation, if you utilize this perspective, then we can get the solution. Because sometimes in our thoughts we design some artificial situations, and then we feel caught up in that situation. But essentially, we are living at all these four levels, and we are always there at these four levels. The issues are the same. The issues are either of relationship or uh,
Yes.
uh, participation in the larger order, isn't it? And to have the clarity. If we have this clarity, then we are able to come up with solution.
Yes, sir.
Ji.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, nice. Some more hands are raised. Let me proceed, and then I'll take up some more questions.
जी भैया
Ji.
सीमा सिंह दीदी
So
you can unmute yourself दीदी जी दीदी
Thank you. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to express myself. I think the point I wanted to make was that if we understand that there is a problem, so every problem is because of a certain cause. One can always, if we are faced by this understanding that yes, there is a problem, then one can look backwards, one can apply one's logic and look at the possible causes which are leading to that problem. So if we are we are given to understand that yes, these are the causes which have led to this problem, then one can work backwards, identify those causes, work towards addressing those causes, and certainly solution will come out of our ability to probe those causes. Once those causes have been identified, one can address them, one can find out an optimal solution. Any meaningful solution can be derived from the understanding of the causes which have led to that problem. I think I would like to look at it in a little logical manner. So of course someone said that one has to have that optimistic approach, and if a problem has occurred or a problem is there, you cannot find solution at the same level as at that level of the problem. One has to go beyond that level to be able to locate and identify the reasons, the causes, and then work towards addressing those problems. This is my take on it. Thank you
okay,
so much.
nice, Didi. Yeah. So as we go along, this will become more clear. So
Yes.
yes, we try to optimize. When you say optimistic, so now optimization is one thing that we keep on doing in our day-to-day life, and optimism is something else. So with optimism, we essentially mean that when I have the solution within, I'm always optimistic, because I'm able to see that the intention of every human being is sound. Every human being has the potential to understand. Every human being has the same program to understand as of me. So I'm always optimistic.
Definitely. And I think optimism is something that would be naturally acceptable to each one of us. That's the basic human intention that, okay, yes, we have
Yeah.
to have that hope. Hopelessness can be problematic, but when we have the optimism, when we have the hope that things can be worked around, one can find a solution, I think that's the way forward. And that's certainly going to lead us to a route where easy solutions, good solutions can be found to each problem.
Okay, nice, Didi. Good sharing.
भैया
So,
we do have Rashmi Didi with us.
I
Didi,
think
you can unmute yourself.
I'll keep on taking questions, but let us proceed with the slides also.
जी भैया
Ji.
Rashmi Didi will get back to you sometime later, Didi.
Ji. So how we are going to proceed? So as we came out through discussion also, that what is acceptable naturally is the solution centric approach. And with that only, we have been developing the whole content for value education and a holistic perspective about human existence and the whole existence has come out through this. And through this, we have been able to identify our goals at all levels and work out the details of the dimensions of system to fulfill these goals. And as I was mentioning, for the past 1 year, we have been discussing various dimensions of society. The next slide. So now talking about the various dimensions of society, as we are mapping the dimensions to the human goal, we can see that education and health will take care of the physical and mental well-being. The justice, the system of justice will take care of the relationship of human interaction. Then there are dimensions of production, service, exchange, right utilization, preservation, and they ensure that our requirements of physical facilities are taken care of properly, along with complementing with the rest of nature. Now, one thing that we have not discussed, I will briefly discuss about this. Uh, to enable these dimensions to function without failures, what we need is the dimension of service, isn't it? So this is also an essential component which basically coordinates between the various dimensions of society. And it also coordinates between the various steps of human organization. So we'll briefly discuss about this dimension of service now. Ji. So if you look at the structures of service, then there are broadly three types of services at the level of society and the system. So one would be like the systems which have come up socially. So structures like langar, where anybody and everybody is provided food, of course, free. It is a service which is purely on the initiative of the people. It is fully managed by the common people, and the formal administration has no significant role to play here. Now, there have been so many practices in the society. Even if you look at the festivals and the rituals, they have been designed in such a way that we do not feel isolated, alienated. So they fulfill our need for relationship. Now, there are systems which fulfill the needs of the body also, isn't it? And there have been tradition like this in our country for a long time throughout the history. So one example has been given here. That is there in Punjab, the langar system is there. So nobody has to beg for food. Nobody can die for food, for lack of food, isn't it? With these systems in place. So there are certain systems which have been there, which very naturally try to fulfill the human goal. So when it comes to uh, ensuring the right understanding also, there have been so many systems in the society where people have been offering sharing knowledge with the society free of cost. In fact, if you look at the whole effort of UHD, this is also a kind of service where people are coming up voluntarily without any remuneration, and they are spending so much of time and energy trying to develop themselves as well as develop the society. So this is also a kind of service, isn't it? So this is one kind of service which is there. The second is little formal, where we make some trust NGO, and then these are serving certain specific purposes, and these are run by the society. So they are informal in the sense that it is generally on the initiative of the people and not the formal system of governance. However, they are partly informal in the sense that these NGO trust have to take approval from the formal system of governance. So partly formal, partly informal. And many times when you make some trust or NGO, so there are some monetary exchanges also involved, because the volunteers working for the NGOs and trust also have to fulfill the needs of the family. So the government supports them financially also, and the society also supports them financially. And through this, such programs are conducted. And there are so many trust and NGOs working today, isn't it? In fact, if you look at the whole education system of today also, every school, college has to be a trust, because it is accepted that education cannot be a source of income. If you look into the basic tenets, so it is accepted that education cannot be a source of income, isn't it? So it has been formed as a trust. And then there are NGOs. Maybe there is some natural calamity, or there is some uh, communal issue, some societal issue, okay, some psychological issue. Then these trusts are serving to take care of the society. Very recently, we had that TB day. So we can see that even the government today is taking so many initiatives through the educational institutions so that they are also able to fulfill the needs of the society directly as well as indirectly. If you look at the NAC criterion, the third criterion is research and outreach. So it's not only that you have to focus on research, that you just keep on exploring the rest of nature. You have to also see how your research, how your research is serving the society. So are you able to outreach to the society or not? So it is a government mandate also that every institution has to adopt some TB patients, some villages. In Unar Bhat Abhiyan, the institutions have been asked to adopt some villages, isn't it? So now these are certain structures in which formally, semi-formally, semi-informally, the service to the society is being done. And then we have administration, which is the formal part of the system of governance. And this is what is known as the government, who has the responsibility to ensure the smooth running of different dimensions of the system. And this is, of course, maintained by the system. So, like we have presently bureaucracy and so many structures are there, isn't it? We are all aware of that. I'm not going to the details of that. So, this is a completely formal system initiated by the government. And when we are able to understand the various steps of social organization, then we are able to properly relate these uh, systems of administration to the societal system. Now you'll see that all these three types of service have very valuable role to play. The main issue is that we must realize the importance of service at the level of society and system and put in efforts for these as much as we can. And we must also motivate others to develop a mindset of service. So you can just try to make out in your area of work or your area of living, are you able to see such services prevalent? Like the third one, the formal system is of course everybody is aware of. But do you have some structure like this, the way it is mentioned in point number one, some langar system or trust and NGOs working in your area? You can mention in the chat box. And this is also a very essential component of society. If there is some earthquake, so many trust and NGOs will approach the uh, people who have been suffering because of that, and they will try to help them out. And if any one of us is also a part of any such system, then you can just mention in the chat box that you are also trying to serve to the society with these structures. Yes, you can mention the chat box. Okay, Amresh Bhai is saying that there is no such trust or NGO around his workplace, but just try to find out. Okay. In fact, this is another way to uh, participate in harmony of the society. We can approach the NGOs and trusts and then conduct workshops for them because they directly communicate with the people at the grassroots, isn't it? And there are so many issues to cater to at the grassroots level. Fine. So I did not get money. Just one response I could get. Ji.
Can I add something, sir?
Okay, briefly, ma'am. Yes.
Hanji. I think in my area in Delhi, there are quite a few such places, or I could say trusts or small endeavors that people are doing. Whether it is about orphanages, there are old age homes also. I've been to them. I've contributed there on occasions. There are charitable hospitals also nearby. Of course, there are quite a few gurdwaras where langars are organized, and not only that, I also see a lot of people involved in, various traditional rituals and festivals. They come together and do community kitchen kind of a thing. So they are offering puri aloo and things like that on specific occasions throughout the year. So I think these things are pretty common here in the sense that people are engaging and doing something for the betterment of the society from the perspective of offering service to the underprivileged or people who do not have those, facilities.
Nice, nice, Didi. I can see one message here by Renuka ji that her college is run by trustees and they have adopted 5 villages. around in and around Mysore and Mandya. Nice to see. So this is also an essential component of society. This is what I wanted to share. Ji, the next slide. If you give me just 1 minute, Didi, then I can share from my PC. I'll not have to ask you every time. Just give me 1 minute.
जी भैया. Dear co-explorers, we would like to remind you that in the chat box, a Google form is shared. So you can fill the Google form and submit. Thereby, you are voluntarily joining for the morning session where now the contents of UHV3 are discussed, which was started on 30th March. That is just 3 days before. So do fill up the Google form and you can join the morning session where UHV3 is discussed from tomorrow morning onwards. So this is for your kind notice and for your information. So we welcome all our co-explorers to join the morning session and do participate in UHV3 discussions and content sharing. Ji
Yeah,
Bhaiya,
Didi, I
thank you
hope
and
I'm
over to
audible.
you Bhaiya. Yeah, you're perfectly audible Bhaiya. Please Bhaiya.
Nice, Didi. So moving forward, now with this clarity of the human goal and the various systems and dimensions of society, now we can see the scope from family order to world family order. Now it's very uh, kind of said very shortly that we can move from family order to world family order. But this is something that we are all into. We are all trying to ensure orderliness in the family. And then moving from here, we have to move into the family cluster and so on. But with this clarity of human goal, with the right understanding and right feeling within, we can see that we have been progressing here. We have been progressing here in terms of family order. We have been progressing in terms of family cluster order. Now, being a part of the education system, we are able to address a large section of society. And gradually, we have to move to the world family order. So, three things to be understood here when we talk about human society, that every person in the society can have a common goal, and there are definite systems and dimensions to fulfill the human goal, and the scope extends up to the world family. We have been talking about Vasudha Kutumbakam, we have been talking about the whole world being a family, but unless we are able to move from family and then move forward to other steps for human order, we cannot ensure the orderliness in the world family. So the family is there at the base, isn't it? Now, with this clarity, we can have the plan for transition to human society. So one program is the People's Education Program, something that we have been sharing in UHV1 as well as UHV2 workshops, the People's Education Program, which is there for adults. So people with right understanding and right feeling are able to share the content with parents, teachers, policymakers, various sections of society, so that the people get introduced to this potential of the program. The second program would be the Education Sanskar program for children. So there are teachers who have the right understanding, right feeling, and they are able to live with definite conduct. And then they are able to develop courses in academic curriculum. They are able to offer socially relevant projects and also create a conducive environment within the institution, outside the institution, so that we can have a definite program for the children, right from primary to higher education. Now, with the efforts in the past 20 odd years, we can see that we are able to now uh, work effectively in the higher technical education. But we do have acceptance to even go forward and implement the whole thing in higher education, which would also include the non-technical institutions. And there are also provisions to offer this course in the primary and secondary sections of the school. So now here we are at 2. Okay, if you look at the program 20 years back, then we were mostly working for people's education. With that, people got motivated to take it as a part of education, and now we are working here at step 2, trying to work for education sanskar program. and this has to be made much more effective, for which we need many volunteers, I'll say. And the teachers now have to, all the teachers have to turn into resource persons, so that uh, they are able to develop the whole institution into a resource center for the society, isn't it? Every teacher has to be a role model for the children to develop into people with definite conduct, isn't it? So a lot of effort is required here, but the good part is that it's completely something that takes us to a state of happiness. Okay. And the third part of the program or the plan is the program for undivided society and universal human order. Now here we include all the dimensions of society. So not only education, we also have to work in the domain of health, in the area of justice. We have to work with people who are into exchange programs, people who are working for marketing, they're working for business. So every section of the society has to be addressed. But the foundational program would be education, because from here only we are getting people who are turning into adults and then running all the dimensions of society. So this would be the third program. We need some more preparation to be working effectively in various dimensions of society. We've started with education and we are into that process. Now, moving by this plan of action, we can go from family to the world family. Okay, and the family is the ground where we are able to evaluate our conduct, our level of understanding, our feelings, our competence, isn't it? And then from there, we can gradually move to the world family. But we have to go through this kind of program. If there's any question regarding this, please let me know. I'll discuss, I'll respond to your queries. Any reflection or any question regarding this plan of action? What do you think? You can raise your hands. Lata Nayyar ji. Ji.
Sir, actually, human beings are the most intelligent people, and everything is to be ensured in human beings. The problems are coming mostly in human beings. So that is a contradiction, no, sir?
Say it again.
Actually,
The first part of the statement got lost.
sir,
The human beings.
birds, etc., and there is a system that is happening there. But why human beings are very intelligent in one way and they are behaving like this? Then what can be the reason, sir?
So you can see that the birds and animals do not have the potential to understand, but we do have the potential to understand. So the only program ahead is to ensure the right understanding, isn't it?
No. I have been observing a family of a pigeon which laid egg in my house. So it was very systematic. So it never moved till the child flew away. So such a training is already built in that creature. And why that thing is not happening in human beings?
Because
Can we think that self will take care of that also, human being also?
yeah, because our imagination is much more developed, but it gets unguided with preconditionings and sensations, which is not there with the animals and birds. So their imagination is very limited, and mostly it is dictated by the body. We can be dictated by preconditionings. So with our preconditionings, which can vary from person to person, our conduct varies. So we can see the definiteness of conduct with birds and animals, but not with human beings. So now the program ahead is not to turn into a bird and animal. Okay, the program ahead is to develop into people with right understanding. So there is no going back. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Nice, Didi. Okay, Rashmi ji, briefly I can take your question.
Sir, it was not actually a question. I
Ji.
just wanted to share, sir, because I think this seems to be a very good program, because means when the person will be educated, people's education program as for adults, because the adult means the parents and the teachers are only responsible for making what the student is, means they are responsible for the future generation. So if they will be given a proper, I think, value-based education. They'll give this child. Then I think this Sanskar program for children, this is also very suitable, because and after this, when there will be Sanskar in children, there will definitely be a universal human order means there will be an undivided society, because we will teach our children from very means from right from childhood how to live together in harmony, and not run after these materialistic things in life. So I think that will definitely stabilize our society. This is what I feel.
Nice, Didi. Okay, Renuka ji.
Sir, looking at the order, sir, there is no doubt that education will definitely.
The voice is very low.
Is it
Didi,
audible
you
now,
have to
sir?
be a little bit louder, Didi. Renuka Didi.
Yeah, is it audible now?
Bit
Not
louder,
that much.
Didi.
Can you hear now? Am I loud?
Still, you have to be louder, Didi. It is very feeble, Didi.
Can you hear me now? Louder?
Yeah,
Not
your
yet.
voice
So voice
only
is clear,
feeble.
but the volume is low.
Yeah, feeble, very feeble, Didi.
Okay, okay.
You can
Can
at
you
least
hear me
raise
now,
your
sir?
voice, Didi. Okay,
Okay.
better,
Can you hear
Didi.
me
Better.
now? Okay. Yeah, thank you. Yeah. Sir, I had just one query. No doubt education will definitely transform any human being. But I just have a query. It's a confusion. Is sanskar is actually happens at home, and whether the person is educated or not, if we just look into our grandparents, they had less education, but the sanskar, the kind of education that they used to give at home was it really helped so many in the family, and they have come up and they have really grown well. And I just wanted to know, can there be a change in first children and then the adult? I'm really confused with that, sir.
No. What is the question? Can there be a change?
So the order, the education is first, no doubt. Will education alone will transform, or sanskar and education, is it the same? Is what my query is.
Well, the way I could understand. So yes, so the sanskar is always there in the human being, whether the formal education has been given or not. Okay.
Yes.
Now, if you see the sanskar at the next moment is a culmination of our sanskar at the previous moment, then the education process that I am into, and the surroundings, the environment. So the previous sanskar as well as the education, and that would be my process to ensure right understanding, and the environment that builds up my sanskar at the next moment. Now, when we talk about our adults, so they might not have the formal education the way we are having, okay, but there always has been some formal education in the society, okay, to some limit. So they might have been through that formal system. And even if not there, so in the family also, we keep on giving either some instruction to the children, or we share the right understanding with the children, and that also enables the right kind of sanskar. But if this is not happening, then the child may not have the right kind of sanskar, and the wrong kind of sanskars could be there in place, and then they have to be replaced with right understanding and right feeling. So now when you go to work for formal education, then you have to have teachers, you have to have policy makers who will support and enable this kind of education. You have to have parents who would like to send their children to such schools of education. So we do need to work with adults so that we are able to develop the right kind of environment for an education sanskar program. I hope that answers your question.
Got it, sir. Yes, sir.
Nice. So I'll take some more questions maybe later. Let me just proceed with the content now. Now, if we only work for people's education program, then it may be the case that one person is able to develop 10 people in the next 10 years, and these 10 people going by this kind of geometrical progression, are able to develop more and more people. And within 100 years, we are able to develop 1,000 crore people who have the commitment to live with right understanding and right feeling, and they are able to do it also. Now, we can also see in our life, we have been progressing. It's not the case that we are able to accomplish the process of right understanding, but we are into that process. and that is ensuring harmony within, that is ensuring harmony in our family, in our workplace. So this kind of progression would take place when we work only for pupils education program. This is a kind of approximate calculation, not very kind of universal thing that I'll say, but a kind of approximate calculation. It could be, the time could be even shorter, the time could be longer. It will depend on so many things. For example, through this Zoom platform, now we are able to connect with so many people every weekend. In our workshops, we are able to connect with 1,000 people, isn't it? So all these things will also determine how much time does it take. So going back to this education, this could be an approximate calculation. Now, when we go for education sanskar program, then the time would be much shorter. We can accomplish it faster. And when we are able to delve into all the dimensions of society, right, then the time would be much, much shorter. When we have the right constitution in place, when we have people on the top making the right kind of policies for the uh, public in general, and we are able to ensure people uh, deciding the right policy in every dimension in the society, then the time would be much, much shorter. So this kind of progression is possible when you go with this plan of transition. Now, when we are able to do this, okay, the starting point being the human education, then we are able to develop the people with human conduct. We are able to intervene in the constitution and then frame policies and structures which would enable the right kind of living in the society. And then gradually, in 1 or 2 generations, we'll have a human order in the society. And then this forms human tradition, generation by generation. Now, we'll see that when we started our journey into self exploration, then we are much more concerned about our own well being. And now, with more and more clarity, we are able to also see the well being of the society. We are also able to see how the well being of society continues from generation to generation. So, our little mundane concerns have now extended to the human tradition, isn't it? This is the way it has to happen with every child when we are into this process. We can also see that there are so many provisions getting into the constitution also today, like the national education policy has enabled this program to a large extent, with which we are able to take this program effectively to every policy maker. So this kind of possibility is there. Now, when we try to pave the way towards a harmonious society, so the primary task is to develop the right understanding among human beings so that they are able to commit to live accordingly, and then develop the requisite skills and knowledge systems to implement the right understanding in real life. So presently the education has become largely skill biased. So that's why so many challenges are coming up. But now people are able to see that skills by themselves cannot shape the right kind of society. We need to have a value based education. This is being talked about in almost every meeting, I'll say. So in NAC also you can see that out of 1,000 points, 100 points have been devoted towards value education, isn't it? If you look at the graduate attributes, 5 attributes directly talk about the right conduct of the child, and only 5 attributes are there for the engineering knowledge. So this way you can see a transformation taking place. The governments are not only talking about the gross domestic product, they are talking about the gross national happiness. They are talking about happiness index. We very recently celebrated the World Happiness Day, isn't it? So now we can see a good kind of change taking place in the society. But at the core is the development of right understanding. If that is not accomplished, then the system doesn't become stable. So the right understanding provides us with the vision for such a humanistic education. And as we discussed earlier, education means to imbibe the understanding of harmony at all levels of living. It's not just reading, writing, arithmetic, but rather a process to enable the human beings to live in accordance with their natural acceptance at all levels of living, isn't it? So you can see that earlier we were talking about education in terms of 3 R's: reading, writing, arithmetic. Okay. Now gradually, isn't it? It is shaping up. So my college system was talking about 3 R's: reading, writing, arithmetic. And then we had one system which was called as the Gandhian system, 3H: hand, head, and heart. So it was more humanistic, isn't it? And now we are able to talk about the human goal, isn't it? So this is the way the society is gradually transforming, and we have to pave this way forward. So of course, it calls for a huge shift in our vision today. Now, humanistic education essentially means inculcation of the right understanding at all levels, from self to the entire existence, and development of the competence to live in accordance with it. And this forms the core of humanistic education. So one should be able to evaluate all the endeavors in the light of right understanding. And we can see that in the history, people have made so much of effort to shape the society. People have devoted their life to inculcate the right kind of value in the society. So we'll all have the feeling of glory for them, the feeling of gratitude for them. And with that, now we are proceeding forward. The humanistic education will incorporate appropriate integration of values and skills so that human beings are able to understand their physical needs correctly and adopt suitable techniques and production systems to cater to the needs in an eco-friendly and people-friendly manner. So we have to try to see how our own institution can ensure this kind of education. Can we float such projects, such ideas, such courses, which can enable humanistic education? Now, recently, AICT has also adopted minor degree, which Rajul Bhaiya was also sharing. So in the minor degree, we have scope for involving the students in so many courses. The humanistic education will facilitate the process of self-exploration, which will lead to continuous self-evolution in the human beings. And it will also enable the realization of one's innateness as well as the universality of definitiveness of the ethical human conduct. And this is what we aspire for, that the conduct has to be humane, isn't it? But it has to start from one's own self-exploration. It cannot be by sermonizing or laying down some, uh, or sharing some stories, the moral stories, or giving some instructions in the form of do's and don'ts, should and shouldn't. It can't be like that. At the core has to be the self-exploration. And this also provides us the basis for a humanistic constitution, which is essential for the development of an unfragmented human society and a universal human order. I hope we are able to see this. You can respond in the chat box. Is this fine to say? Can the humanistic education uh, have this kind of potential to shape the society? What do you think? You can respond in the chat box. Jigita ji is saying yes. Sima ji is saying yes. Renuka ji is saying yes. Very nice. Ji, very nice. I'll briefly take one question. Rajendra Prasad Khare ji. Madan ji, I'll respond to your query also. Rajendra Prasad ji.
Yes, sir. Good evening, sir.
Sir, wonderful sharing. Wonderful
Madan ji,
sharing.
Madan ji, I'll take your question. Ji, Rajan ji. Ji, Rajan ji.
Sir, thank you, sir. Wonderful sharing, sir.
अच्छा अच्छा ठीक है बढ़िया.
Nice sharing, sir.
मदन जी.
हाँ, very good evening, Kumar sir.
जी.
Sir, I am going through it for a short analysis on it. I have seen strengths here and also opportunity in UHV. I am somehow confusion about its limitations or weakness. If you have a time, can you tell me the weakness or limitations of UHV in current scenario?
See, whatever be the limitation here, or if there is some weakness also, it's our need, so we'll overcome that. We'll design some more programs to overcome it. So that's why we are saying that it is a proposal, not the proposal. So if you feel that something more could be added to it, well and good, we can go with that. Essentially, we need to have that holistic vision. So we are not just training ourselves to any particular thing. Basically, I need to be as I really want to be. So that we can always design our programs at the level of individual or family or society or nature. Ji.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Nice, Bhaiya.
Bhaiya, we have Seema Didi with us. Didi, you can unmute yourself now, Didi.
Good evening, sir. Sir, I am
evening.
Dr. Seema from Department of Education, Central University of Rajasthan. Actually, now our teacher education program is going to change. Like now it is coming as integrated teacher education program. So I think we have to include this in B.Ed syllabus actually. As a pre-service training, we have to give this training to our student teachers so that whenever they are going to school, whenever they are becoming actual teachers, they can gradually implement that in this students. And we can also give in-service training to those teachers who are in service. So I think now this integrated teacher education program curriculum is framing that program is now just only starting. So I think it is a good chance that we can include as a course this program in integrated teacher education program, 4 years.
Yeah, we can do that, Didi. In fact, there are multiple more opportunities coming up. But the only thing is that we need to develop more and more people who are able to take the content rightly and conduct such workshops. So that's why we are limiting our program to this extent. Otherwise, there are more and more opportunities coming up. But you can always call us maybe after this meeting. You can take
Okay,
the
sir.
number of any of us and discuss, and we'll
Okay,
see
sir.
how we can go ahead. Gee,
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
nice, nice,
Bhaiya,
Didi.
we have with us Balakrishna Pillai.
Didi, I think I'll move forward. I'll take up the
Ji
question
Bhaiya.
later on. Ji,
Please Bhaiya.
ji. So what will be the steps of transition? Briefly, we had discussed in the previous meeting also. So as we can see, the initial step has to be the step for individual transformation. As a human being, how do I transform myself? If I'm able to transform myself, then only I can be the pillar of transformation of the society around me, isn't it? Then, while doing this, we also need to create mass awareness towards holistic development. So this is something that we can do at every level, isn't it? Through formal as well as informal systems. And then we have to move towards humanizing the mainstream education. So we have started with particular courses in value in education, but gradually we have to make the whole education system value based. So moving from value education, we have to go to value based education. And for that, there is a lot of scope to innovate, to create courses, to introduce such inputs in various courses. In fact, we all might be from different streams. Some might be from engineering, some might be from humanities, some might be from science, some might be from pharmacy, and so on, right? And we can see how we can introduce this input in every course. In fact, we see that the more we are able to explore within, we are able to properly place any course with that holistic vision. So if I am teaching, let's say, one engineering course, there also I can first place that course in terms of universal human order, that where does this course get placed, and then I can go on to discuss the particular inputs in that course. So we have to move towards humanizing the mainstream education, and then from there we have to move towards holistic living, value based living. So value education moving forward to value based education, and gradually to value based living. And why only the educational institutions, why not the whole community? So this is the way we need to move forward. Now, going for this individual transformation, we can see that we might be caught up in the lower state where we had been investing our time and energy only for physical facility, uh, completely ignorant about the right understanding and right feeling. And that's how we were caught up in problems, and the whole society was caught up into problems. Then from here, we have to transform ourselves, and we are into this process, isn't it? Now we are able to assign the right priority to right understanding. We are able to assign the right priority to relationship over physical facility. And the more we are able to do this, we are able to participate in the harmony society also. And this is something common to all of us. If you look at the complete team which is there in the panel, they have been doing this, and we all are able to see a significant transformation in ourselves as well as in our family, in our surrounding. So this is the first step for transformation, isn't it? We have to work at ourselves. And you see, the more seriously and committedly I work for individual transformation, I'm able to participate in societal transformation also. Now, the second step would be creating mass awareness so we can have discussion with our family members and friends. Now, for example, when we discuss the issues in the morning meeting or even in the workshops, people have so many concerns regarding their family and friends. Okay, now they have started transforming, but the family members are not able to support it. So they are pulling them back. The friends are pulling them back. So how to take them along? Okay, this is another concern. So we have to have some programs for our family members and friends also, isn't it? Then we can see that there are people in the society who are working purposefully for something fruitful in the society. They are making tremendous effort for societal development. And if you can take this content to them, they will also feel motivated and build up a right kind of environment in the society. Then, of course, the educators, the teachers, and the education administrators have to be included. Now, here we can see that we started with faculty development programs, but gradually now we are also running student development programs. And we have now workshops getting started for leadership development program, LDP, management development program, MDP, isn't it? Now we also need to have parent development program so that we are able to develop the parents also. Many times the parents have such ambitions that the students are not able to fulfill their ambitions, and the ambitions are completely biased with wrong assumptions, isn't it? So the parents might have assumption that they have to send their children abroad, they have to make them billionaires and so on, isn't it? So we have to have program for educators, teachers, and education administrators, the owners of the institutions. Many times people say that the program is good, but it is effective at the level of faculty. How to make our owners understand all these things? Because largely the whole environment in the institution is determined by the owners of the institution. So we need to have program for them also. Then we have the policy makers and the administrators who are related to government, and we need to introduce there also. And then colleagues at work. In fact, happy to share that there are some colleges, some institutions where say more than 500 faculty have attended workshop. So there is one RV college in Bangalore, there is Shiksha Anusandhan in Odisha, isn't it? You can just mention the chat box how many faculty from your institution have attended the workshop. So that could be a large number. And we all have played a significant role in taking this content to our colleagues at work. So this is the second kind of program that we can have. Then moving towards humanizing the whole education system, we need to have various courses. So in the minor degree, we have all these courses like UHB 3 is being run nowadays in the morning session. It is also available on SWAYAM. And we have also been conducting face-to-face workshop for UHB 3. UHB 4 is Vision for Humane Society. And then UHB 5 has the content of various philosophies, which have been talking about human values. And then we have courses in psychology, health, sociology, isn't it? Okay, this has got somewhat repeated. And then human economics. So various courses are there, and we can develop much more courses. Why not have a course in journalism, in mass communication? It is much more required, isn't it? Uh, we can have courses in law so that our lawyers also have the right understanding. So there's a lot of potential here to develop such courses in the mainstream education. And then we can also talk to the people of MHRD, UGC, AICT, ICMR, isn't it? So to effectively proliferate the above effort, support and policy initiatives by monitoring agencies such as these bodies will be helpful. And further, it will be essential to introduce teacher orientation program, the FDPs, at every level. And we have been organizing some conferences also. Before the pandemic, we had been, okay, design. Yes, I am also a faculty of design, so I can see how it is useful. In fact, in design, I can see that most of the courses can have this orientation, isn't it? In fact, we try to design solution, and the solution can never be complete without ensuring the happiness in the people. In fact, the first step in design is empathy, and that means to feel related to the other. So there's a lot of scope to intervene in the present day curricula. So we had been organizing international conferences also before the pandemic, and we are going to start it again. And then we can also see that we need to develop indices for happiness. Earlier, uh, people were mostly concerned about physical facilities, but now they have started talking about happiness. There are departments of happiness in various countries. In our own country, MP government has opened Anand Mantralaya. In Delhi also, happiness curriculum is there. Abroad also, you can see many governments have come up with departments, with ministries of happiness. And the next sub step would be to us to R&D, was transforming the whole mainstream education into humanistic education. We have been doing research, but that is largely biased towards physiochemical things. How we can have more and more research coming into place so that we are able to have a complete program for education. Now, with that, we can develop models for holistic living in the educational institutions and in the community. So this will also necessitate linking the educational institutions with local development programs in collaboration with the volunteer organizations and government agencies. Accordingly, the focus of R&D in higher education institutions will need to be shifted towards various aspects of holistic development, resulting in the development of real-life models, facilitating universal human order. And this is an effort which is also on, I'll say, in UP also. There is one college, AK Garg Engineering College. They have been trying to do it very persistently. They have been conducting workshops in the evening for the children. And recently, they also started some production activities. So the students there are making soaps, various edibles. So they are trying to work with their hands, okay, in the process to become self-reliant through production. So we have to develop our institutions into models of holistic living. So this is something that can be a doable action item for all of us. So to sum up, I'll say that there's a need to plan for transition from the present state of society to a human society. And there are two possible approaches to transform the society: problem-centric and solution-centric. Now, going by the solution-centric approach, we get the complete vision for human society, where we can have the clarity of human goals. We can also have clarity of all dimensions of a human society, the various steps of universal human order, and the clarity of human tradition, generation by generation. And then we can plan and devise ways to move towards a human society. Various steps can be envisaged and planned and also implemented. So this is all that I have to share from my side. Some hands were raised. I can respond to that provided time is there. Geeta Didi, please let me know. If time permits, then I can take up some questions.
Thank you so much, Bhaiya, for the enlightening session. I think we can take one question, Bhaiya. Now we have Rajan Bhaiya. Ji Bhaiya, you can unmute yourself and you can put your query, Bhaiya. Ranjan Bhaiya, I'm sorry, Ranjan Bhaiya. You can unmute
Ranjan
yourself,
Upadhyay
Bhaiya.
ji.
My voice has been audible.
Ji, ji.
Ji, audible.
Very good evening to one and all. Sir has said very rightly that different curriculum could be framed according to this particular human values. But what were the difficulties which you faced, Dr. Kumar, when you were planning for this particular curriculum? Whether it was a difficulty which you faced from the organization head or from the student end?
In fact, I'll say that the queries that were raised by the people in the system helped us to develop this whole program in a universal manner. So it has been a kind of contribution from them. So many questions were raised whether we can impart value education in the classroom, whether education in value inputs could be universal, and so many things. So I'll say that whatever came from the other side has only helped us to devise the whole program in such a way that it can be universal, rational, verifiable. So we are thankful to them, I'll say.
No,
and we also saw that, yeah, the onus ultimately lies on us. We have to develop ourselves at the core. So the other person wants to understand. This is something that we can see very clearly. But the only thing is that there could be some conditionings in the other, which has to be resolved.
So what were those conditioning? That would we like to, if you don't mind, could you highlight those conditioning?
Yeah, so let's say some questions or queries that were raised were like, the values have to be caught, not taught. Isn't it? This is a common saying. Now, if you try to explore this, the values have to be taught as well as caught. So the caught means the child looks at the living of the teacher. But ultimately, what has made the living of the teacher holistic, humane, has to be understood, has to be explored. So the proposal has to go to the child.
Okay.
So this is one kind of question that we faced. Okay. Now, whether it can be a theory course. So we said yes, it has to be a theory course because just doing something in terms of practice will not essentially convey the right kind of proposal. So the students have to write an exam so that they have been able to listen to the whole proposal that was shared with them in the classroom. So to get to know whether they have grasped the content or not. So this was another concern that we faced.
Dr. Kumar, whether you put up some conditioning in the proposal or means whether when you were framing this particular whole curriculum, did you map up in your mind that 60:40 ratio should be there with the theory and practical?
We have not gone for 60:40. In fact, the way we proposed was to have 2 lectures and 1 tutorial in every week. So
Okay,
some institutions agreed to that, some could not. So either they made 3 lectures, so because they were able to allot only 3 hours. Some also made 2 lectures and 2 hours of practical. And that, yeah, they also made that.
So could you
So
please,
that
if you don't mind, if the higher authority also permits, could you please share those curriculums so that it can enrich us also in framing the same thing for our institution too?
Certainly. So the AICT model curriculum is already there. We can
Yeah,
always
yeah,
access it.
yes.
Yeah.
But people have already run on a trial basis also, no?
So earlier it was on trial basis. Now it has become a part of system. So the AICT has included in the model curriculum. So initially, the third concern that was there was not to make it a credit course but an audit course. But we could see that once it is only an audit course, the children do not study with that seriousness.
Yeah, this is what
In
I
fact,
was also observing. Yes,
yeah,
sir.
in our university, every year, many students are failing also in the course of on human values. Even I'll say that I taught this course in the odd semester recently, and 2
Yes,
students did fail because they have not been able to write the answers correctly. So many times the students have an assumption that whatever you write in terms of values would be acceptable, but that is not the case.
You are totally right, sir. This is also, we are also finding the same problem. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes. So these are various concerns, but we can always talk about it. You can call me anytime and we can discuss also.
So nice of you, sir. Thank you for giving the very good response. Thank you. Thank you, the authority also. Thank you.
Nice, sir.